Zephaniah part 1, and we're going to be restoring this text to its original format. Now the problem is I did this once and then I forgot to switch it off from one of the text I was showing off the side, so more than half that video was just blank, but I did talk a lot for an hour. I'd say almost 40 minutes of that was blank. So, and I only caught that at the end when I was shutting it off. So, well, I'm starting over, but I'm starting over with the text already kind of broke down. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you what I've already went through. But I'm hoping to remember what I said. Okay. First of all, you're going to see that I've got them in 4 verses. This is how they're grouped to be 4 verses. I corrected the word prophecy, and from let's see if I can, and through Zephaniah. Okay, in the days for Joshua. Now this was King Josiah, excuse me. And when I brought up this to let you know what's going on with this king, he is down here, and this is the king we're talking about at this time. Now this king was awfully corrupt. He was sitting and meditating to have sex with a so-called female goddess, and was putting images of her into our Creator's house, and he brought in horse gods and made an altar for them and stuff like that. And you're sitting there, what's a horse god? Well, a male's maleness retracts inside his body once a year under this practice, and that's just what happens to him. Think Sphinx, think ancient half man, half beast. Those things weren't made for no reason at all. Even they got pictures of Muhammad with this female goddess beast. He's supposed to be riding on it. But when I went to look for sons of Ammon, let me get that back up here. No, even though it's in the order and you would think son, Hezekiah's son here became the king at this time. This guy only ruled for 2 years, and I believe they killed him. So here, and then they become corrupt. His sons become corrupt. But the object here is now that know that I couldn't use this text correctly. That's why I have it yellow. If I needed that, I would have changed that. And then down here, when it says these things here, this never happened, so we can't have our Creator lying. This is where he's going to remove everything off the face of the earth, okay? And it never happened. But the prophecy needs to start from our Creator, and here's where it starts, okay? And you can see my editing. The blue is that I'm removing, and the words in green I'm adding. Now this is a god, but he's the wrong god. This, when I just told you that they're sitting there and meditating to have the sex with the so-called female goddess, it's the moon goddess, and Ra is the sun god. Excuse me. And so I use the words Ra here, or the name Ra, instead of Balas. And now, why did I change it here? Is because down here, they were bowing down on their rooftops to the host of the heaven, okay? The host in heaven, that should be in heaven. And what it is even today we have pagan names. Mars, god of war. Venus, the female goddess. Jupiter, king. Saturn, I think that's another king, or another god, excuse me, not kings, but gods. These are known as the hosts in heaven, okay? So when it says Lord of hosts, like maybe 300 times in your Bible, you can now understand what they're talking about. Creator of the gods in heaven too. So, but the object is that you know now what the hosts are, and since the sun is known as Ra way back since Egypt's time, that's why you might see in the Vatican's courtyard an Egyptian, what do they call that thing? Whatever, in the courtyard. But that's what they've done. They've followed it all the way back there, and they brought it into the Vatican's yard there. But but what you see here is the truth coming out. And we're finding the format, because when I started dividing these, I was doing them in groups of 2. And then they became 4 and you can start reading them here. But they don't swear to our Creator. You make a vow to our Creator. And that's the difference between when you swear to a god, that's the pagan ritual. We vow to our Creator, and we vow to him, and we're telling him we're going to do this. And once you make a vow, you stick to it, and you'll find that our Creator will reward you for sticking to that promise. And you see how I said vow to me, made it first person by replacing his name. First I replaced the titles with the original Hebrew words, and then I go into correcting the text to make it first person. And this is our Creator speaking. He would not be using his first name, or he wouldn't be using his name when he's referring to himself. So the word me has been used quite a few times here. And yet swear, and the difference between vow and swear, now you know the difference. Didn't need this, and because it was funny when I came across this, it was our Creator was all of a sudden talking, using his own name, and then all of a sudden he says him, referring to himself. They will be silenced, and the reason why I put silenced here is where was it? No, that's a different silence. The silence. I didn't need to use this for the simple fact that it isn't really truthful. They will be silenced on the day for me. The day for me. So see, I can still correct the text now, and I was going to do that next step. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to wait and do everything a little later here. For the day of wrath, for the day for my wrath is near. Now this is speaking to those kings at the end, okay? On that day, I will punish your king's sons. Now this here is very true. When you read Jeremiah, the king had, after Jerusalem, they started breaking down the walls. You got to realize at that time, they didn't waste their effort trying to, when they had them surrounded and they weren't coming out and fighting, they were starving people to death to come out. And so what they would do, probably for entertainment and to frighten the people inside, would be throwing rocks at the walls to shatter them and break them down by their catapults. But the king's sons escaped, and they chased him down to the Jordan River, and he killed his sons, and I think he blinded the king and took him back. So I will punish your king's sons. That was very truthful. These words They were just not truthful, just like these words here. If you read it, I have prepared a sacrifice. He has concentrated his guests. Here our Creator is talking to, first using his own name, and then he and his. And you can't consecrate your guests. That means to make holy. Okay? And sacrifice, this person doesn't understand what the sacrifice means. But the object is if you've listened to me, you should know some of these words. I've been over them so many times to make sure that you just keep listening. I'll get to it again. On that day there will be sounds of crying, and it's not coming from the fish gate, and it's not going to be coming from the hills, because once I started realizing where the format is at, I can start getting rid of words that just don't make sense or have to change them a lot. And a wailing from the people in Jerusalem. They had this, and I looked it up, and it was a city, or it was a place inside Jerusalem. Let's just put it what it is, Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the one that they were surrounded. And then the people will be silenced. That's why I went into the silenced up above. Now here they were putting in Canaan, or Canaanites. Okay. They had been dead for 700 years. They don't exist anymore. So our Creator wouldn't be that stupid to put the word Canaan in here. And then, and all who weigh out silver will be cut off. That just isn't truthful at all. And it will come about at that time, I will search Jerusalem and punish the men who say in their heart, why we will not do to us good or evil. So you can see that this just doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Our Creator does not need lamps to do this. So it's kind of like, okay, but somebody added that words in there because he doesn't believe our Creator is our Creator. Then I don't need these. I tried to explain the difference between what a house and a home is. I'm always trying to correct the text and make sure a word means what it means and how it's used. When I'm using the word house, I'm saying that they have a large place where they might have servants, okay? And a home would be where you don't have servants, okay? And so he's going to make desolate all of Judah, so there's homes out there. Not every one of them has servants. Will be desolate. For they will build houses, and I couldn't, yep. They will build homes, but not live in them. And then whoever plants a vineyard always gets drunk. So here, this just doesn't tie together, so it didn't matter. So it just gets rid of that text. And then it's his day of vengeance is coming for him, and it's coming quickly. And so you don't need to listen for this day. And the warrior will cry out bitterly on the day of my wrath. And you don't need a doubling up of the word day. And then here goes through what's going to happen on the day. And then the day for horns. Now, I explained that trumpets are not what's really being used. They're ram horns that they're used. The priests had ram horns that they were blowing. Example one, the walls of Jericho come down. They would also announce different things by using the horn. The year of Jubilee, they were to sound the horns throughout all Jerusalem, so the priests in every Israel's son territory would use the horns to announce this. The priests' horns were actually inside where they kept the utensils, the plates, the knives to cut up the sacrifice, to cut out the muscles, to be put on plates, to take in, to be hung on the hooks and burnt. And I had to add the words, for they are coming. That made this quite long, but if I added this and just used this, then I wouldn't be able to use this. So I know this is a lot to be added in, but it's added in. And to be first person, it's not theirs, it's your fortified cities. And they use the word men here. If they're coming and they're battling, then it's the army that he's bringing a distress on. And he did. They fled. And when the walls broke down, they took off to walk like the blind, for they sinned against me. Sinned against Creator is one of the 12 commandments. Yes, 12 in the description. It defines 12. I explain it. You just haven't studied the text yet to know that there's 12. But this is what is known as sins. You needed a sin offering to be forgiving of the 12 commandments. A lot of people don't understand what a sin is, and our Creator defined it by saying they needed a sin offering to be forgiven for these 12 things, and one of them was that they went on to another creator, and like you've seen, they did, and that is they sinned against me. Now their blood will be poured out, and you can see the day of my wrath. And everyone, they had the whole earth being scorched, like up above, where there was no going to be man or beast or fish in the water. But we all know that's not true. Hi, you're still alive, me too. They didn't devour, they were captured, okay? Now, this is what the text looks like, and I was going to start here with this video. Got through that 17 minutes. That took me more than an hour before, and you didn't get to see half of that. But I needed to add the word king here, even though I know that it was in a different verse. I just put it here so people are aware that this is the king who they're talking to. And you can see, I will stretch out my hand against Judah and against everyone in Jerusalem to cut off Raz and his idolatrous priests, and those bowing down on the rooftops to the hosts of heaven, and those who vow to me yet swear to Ra. Those would be the priests, pretty much. And those turning from following me, and those who have not sought me, they will be silenced, for the day of my wrath, this is my wrath, is near. For on that day I will punish your king's sons, for they have filled my house with idols and deceit. I forgot to show this up here at the top, because that was an important change. Because when you've seen, yeah, right here, when it was talking about, it was who filled the house of their Lord with violence and deceit. That's why I mentioned earlier about the king putting his idols into the house for meeting with our Creator, and in the courtyard, many things. It was these idols that were put in there, and then they were being deceitful to the people about it. So that was a big change. A big change to me is changing one word that it doesn't mean anything like it, and they needed a new word. Example, when I use the word inhabitants and people, yeah, that's not a big one. Mortar being in someplace in Jerusalem to Jerusalem, that isn't very big. But to me, this one is big. This is if anybody's going to be complaining about things, these would be the changes. I just want to make sure I point that out. I pretty much explained all the other ones, and I know I went over that on the first one as well. And I thought I had another. They have filled my house with idols and deceit. Okay. And on that, And on that day there will be sounds of crying, a wailing from the people in Jerusalem. Then the people will be silenced. I think that's supposed to be an E or I think that's supposed to have a T at the end, isn't it? Silenced. Oh well. Maybe that's the way I pronounce silenced. Okay, and the people will be silenced. And I will search Jerusalem and punish the men who say in their hearts, why they will not do to us good or evil. Their wealth will become plunder, and their homes will be desolate. Oh, this was the one. But they will be built, for they will build homes, but not live in them. Near is the day for me, and it is coming quickly, for the warrior will cry out bitterly on the day of my wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of trouble and distress. Say, a destruction and desolation, a day of darkness and gloom, like clouds thick and dark, a day for the horns and the battle cry, for they are coming against your cities. And I guess I needed to put that word in there. I was thinking, well, I was thinking if I added this much, it's almost like a separation if you see how I'm breaking things down. For they are coming against your fortified cities. And it just is an extra long verse. It's a long verse. I'm just trying to crunch it down. I will bring distress on your army to walk like the blind, for they sinned against me too. Now their blood will be poured out. Neither silver or gold will be able to deliver them on the day of my wrath, and everyone will be captured. Okay, now that is what I found as the prophecy. Now, starting here, this sounds like it's Zephaniah's wagging his finger at him and telling him a little bit more what's going on, because these words don't read as part of the prophecy. So I had to move 2 actually starts here, just to let you know. And I would say, I don't know how to start this. That was the other thing I was thinking about before getting into this video was, how do you start this off like finger wagging? For the fire of his jealousy will make a complete end of you, meaning Jerusalem and all of Judah, by the way. That needs to be like that. Indeed, it will be terrifying. That's a little bit too much. Like, everybody in the world is going to know what's going to happen in Jerusalem. Yeah. And everyone, and everyone and everyone in Judah. This has to be in Judah. And that's how I represent the kingdom of Judah. Because this is just not true. But this here is true. Indeed, it will be terrifying for everyone in Judah. So gather yourselves together. I can't remember if they were stripped naked to walk in shame. So gather yourselves together to be gathered to a, and it's not nation, it's a kingdom. A nation, this is what I'm getting at when I say about the words. What's a nation considering a kingdom? Okay, what's the difference? Well, a kingdom might have, like Babylon, might have provinces that were governed over. But a nation is like the 12 tribes, each having their own little state as they rule over, because each of them had a court, each of them did their own ruling. Any of the cases that needed to be questioned, yes, they sought the high priest at the house for our Creator, or tent for our Creator. And that's the difference between the word nation and kingdom. Nation is a gathering of many small little states. Okay, the United States is a nation. Europe is not a gathering of nations. Okay, each of them are their own country or kingdom. To be gathered to a kingdom without shame. Before I would put YHVH'S decree. Before YHVH'S degree, and I would just say happens. It's just easier to one word instead of needing two for a lot of this stuff. So this isn't like an important change, okay? Something that you can really jump up and down and say, hey, this guy's making his own. I really try not to do that. It's not the days, your days. Days will no, I got to read more, and this is not this. Not what I was thinking. When one's degree happens, that day, and this is that special day, so it's his day. That day, those days. You will be like chaff. Chaff is when they were, after they knocked the wheat seeds off the stalks, then they would when they would get on a hilltop, because that's the windiest point, and not down on the threshing floor. That's down later. The threshing floor is actually on a hilltop, and they would toss the seeds up. The shells that are around it will blow away. This is what they called chaff. It could be shells, just to be truthful, but I left the word chaff there. That day you will pass like chaff. That day pass. I'm having a hard time with that, so let me just not try to put too much on it right now and just do this, say, get back to it. Before the burning anger while it comes upon you. And it's not burning anger. Before the anger from, it's almost like I gotta switch words around to make this correct. Before YHVH'S anger comes upon you. Before the day of YHVH'S anger comes. Oh, there's a double here. So let's get rid of one of them. YHVH seeks all you humble of the earth. No, he doesn't. He's humble. To be humble doesn't mean anything. He's looking for people who obey our Creator. You obey our Creator, you can speak of your righteousness, because by obeying our Creator, you have righteousness, because you are obeying His command. That's why Noah was known as a righteous man. Okay, so now that you know the difference between the secular righteous and our Creator's righteousness, you've learned something today. So the word humble is wrong. You have to obey our Creator. YHVH seeks everyone obeying Him on earth. Okay. No, you can't complain with that once you understand why I'm changing it, though. That's the key here. Zephaniah, seek YHVH for everyone obeying Him. Whoops. And I designate it like that when I'm switching around. Seek YHVH for everyone. That's more correct there. I might even said that. I'm kind of thinking that that's how I started correcting it. So sometimes I'm reading and thinking at the same time and just running with it without fully explaining it. It's a little harder to do these videos than you think. It takes a while to get used to thinking, speaking, and explaining to get the truth out. YHVH seeks anyone obeying Him on earth who lives by his, not ordinances, they're commands. Who lives by his commands have, they don't seek righteousness. You can only get it by obeying his commands. So then you'll have righteousness and humility. Perhaps you will be hidden in the day of YHVH's anger. Why would you be hidden? I'm thinking, how can you say words like that? For Gaza will be abandoned, desolation, driven others, rooted. These places here. Now, David pushed the Philistines out of these cities. Okay, these were their cities. In fact, what happened was when they went into the promised land, they killed them all. Okay, and then whatever fled south of what our Creator said, stop, keep this as the promised land here. Okay, and these cities are along the coast up where Gaza is today, but the object is that these cities, let's see, this is one of them, this is one of them, this is one of them. Gaza is, I think, a city farther down. But anyways, I think that was the city they went and they built down there outside the promised land. I might be wrong about that, but I don't want to go off on a tangent on this. But the object is, well, let's see, these two would hook together, obviously, because these are all, but these people were already gone from there. I mean, example, when Joshua sent them away, or got rid of them and they fled, then they had this safety. What happens is that in this 300 years that's missing, 300 years, actually the text starts off that there's two separate kingdoms already, Israel and Judah. And that's when they wanted a king to be able to go out for war, because the Philistines had actually come back into this area, because that's the first people that Saul, or second people that Saul was fighting with. So the thing here is over like this 300-400 years, Simon had lost a lot of his land to them, and they had built their cities, and this is why they're known as their cities. You can go online and actually see them. In fact, they've got them in the wrong order. The biggest city would have been the capital city, but they got it named as the littlest city. So reverse the names and you'll have the actual truth. But the object is that they're already abandoned. They're already gone. They're desolate. This isn't needed. This isn't needed. That's just extra gibberish stuck in here. See down here again, nations. There was no kingdom down here. The nation of whoever these are. There is no kingdom, because the next kingdom, you got to understand, after Jerusalem or Judah fell, it was Babylon, and then it was the Persians took over, and then it was the Romans. So these guys, they don't even exist. They didn't exist. And Canaans, they were gone for hundreds of years. These were gone for hundreds of years. So this is all just extra crap put in here. You can't have caves on the shoreline. Caves just don't appear out of nowhere. What's this got to do? Perhaps you'll be hidden in the day of anger. This has again been gone forever. This is not making any sense. In fact, this is not making any sense. This is the one that I used the word creator. They use the word title God. You go and check it, it's Elohim. But like I said, oh, I didn't say that to you. If you go and study each verse that has these titles for our creator, you will find that if Genesis 1, if you replace the word creator with Elohim, you're finding out that our creator created this, our creator created this, not God created, but our creator created this. The whole Genesis is about our creator creating, not God creating. So you change the title to creator and you have the right title for Elohim. And then you go through the other 3,000 verses. I think there's only like 3 or 4 times that the word creator doesn't make sense. But I just know that I did my homework, and the title is creator. Why be their creator will care for them and restore their fortune. Why would the Philistines come back? Okay. Heard the taunting of Moab. Now, who is Moab and who is Am? These were when, this was when they were going to the promised land and they went around Esau's or Edom, who were their half brothers, or were their brothers' family, and they went and conquered these next kings. And these are the 2 kings that are being talked about. But that was at the promised land time. Those people don't exist no more. 800 years later, and you're going to tell me that these people still live? Which have been taught by people to become arrogant in their territory. The Moab was already destroyed. Okay? This was already gone. The remnant of my people will plunder them. No, that never happened. This never happened. This is not true then. There's a lot of this is falling fast, but we've got quite a bit to go through yet. They have returned for their pride because they have taunted and come against. No, he sent them away. He's sending them away. Starve all the gods, all the creators of the earth. Now this is what they had in here. YHVH will be terrifying to them, and he will starve all the gods of the earth. We know that is just stupidity. But they're in here are still editing this text today. They should be sitting down and saying, hey, this text doesn't belong. But that's my job. I'm the one telling you what's truthful and not. They don't want to tell you. All the coastlands will be down to him, everyone his own place. Okay, now this is where they went. So he didn't go back and he didn't destroy them. They were Nineveh is a city. up in Babylon. Well, it's above the Tigris River. Euphrates is the major one, but the one on top, and then they're located up here, which would be to you to the top. So this, I can't get my camera to mirror, so I'm talking, or I'm looking and seeing that you would see me the way you were supposed to. I can't flip that yet, or I haven't found the right button. Flocks will lay down in their midst and hasten to arrange. Oh yeah, now the threshold is going to be dust. Doorway, when you walk in a door, is threshold is the place where the door opens, where the bottom opening, and it's going to be desolated. Do you actually think what each word means when you're reading to say that? Pardon me. I've had so many arguments on the internet with people that call me a heretic when I tell them there's a word wrong, and then when I start pointing out the wrongs, they stop talking to me. All of a sudden, how come they don't want to admit the truth? Truth will set you free, especially our Creator's truth. Trying to figure out what is this is the exalted city that which dwells securely, and it wasn't Nineveh at all. For when you look, oops, pushed a button I don't know nothing about. When you look at Babylon, where the city of Babylon is, it's, you look at the Euphrates rivers and the Tigris River, you need a bridge to get over these. So you couldn't just bring over thousands of men to conquer Babylon. It was the most secure land that you could imagine. In when you think of all the wars that they had back then to conquer each other, to control each other, to have the land and the wealth from that land, well, you look at how the enemy would have to come around, protect them. There was only this little narrow gate that they could get through, and it is a mountainous region in that area. With 1,000 men, you could hold up hundreds of thousands of people. So it was the most secure Babylon, not Nineveh. Nineveh was on top. They had to come past Nineveh to go into Babylon. So they didn't. They only had a river. They ran to the river. They couldn't get away. This isn't just not true. Even though it has a format, even though that you're seeing a format, none of that is true. Do you think Babylon became desolate as a resting place for beasts? Tell me when that happened. Everyone who passes by has contempt. Nope. Now we're into 3 here. Maybe it'll change. Woe to her who is rebellious. And true. Why she accepts no instruction. She did not trust in the YHVH. If I replaced her with Jerusalem, woe to her. This would be the female goddess. Her, those who are under her, who is rebellious and defiled Jerusalem. Woes to hers. Who are rebellious. Woes. trying to make sense so I can start this off and start really going. If we're going to keep the text, we have to have a good start in understanding what's going on. Woes for hers who are rebellious, who rebelled. Who rebelled and defiled Jerusalem. And defiled Jerusalem. It's hers again. Did not hers did not heed his prophecy is the way it's going to be. They didn't believe he was going to do this. So it's not his voice, the voice of those that were coming and telling him. We've got many prophets doing this. So it's not, they did not, hers did not heed their voices. Okay, let me do that. And I'm going to make it as our Creator's voice, okay? Hers did not accept their instruction, their warning. Their warning. Warnings, to be truthful. So let's be truthful. And I can put they here. They did not trust, not YV. They did not trust. They did not believe. That's a close call, but that's one that's, yep, they did not believe because they did not accept. So they did not. They did not. They did not believe YV. They drew nearer to her Creator, Ra, to her Creator, which would be Ra. They drew nearer. They drew nearer to her Creator. They got closer, okay? They, yeah, that might be changed later. They drew near to her Creator. Your princes, at her princes. Talking back to like Jerusalem and the people living in Judah. Your princes are like roaring lions. And your judges are like wolves. And this doesn't need to be there because we got 2 verse, 2 verse, 2 verse. Her not her prophets, what do they call them? Her diviners. They divine things. Her diviners are reckless men. Her priests have profaned. I'm just getting rid of the word the, his, and we need his house. Our Creator doesn't need a sanctuary, people. I mean, how stupid do they think I am? This is just ridiculous. Sanctuary. Yeah, like he needs a sanctuary. Like we can actually affect him in some way. They have profaned his house. I'm seeing 3 verse, 3 verse, and I got rid of a verse. That could have been a 3 verse. So, did they take this text from another piece? Because you can see here, when I see that I went through already, and it's going to become 2 verse again, it makes me how they might have used a piece over here and a piece over here and a piece here to make something up. And then tell you this the truth, that this is the way it was. This is word of God. Yeah, right. Precept profaned his house. Her precept profaned his house. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to get rid of this one. Because simple fact is, her precept profaned his house. Well, they also done violence to the laws. They also corrupted. Well, that's, where's the P? Corrupt. They also corrupted his commands. his words. Can't you see what they've done to him right now? I mean, it's kind of, this is what they did. You're seeing what they did. This is proof that they did it. It's his words. Did you see what I had to go through? I mean, I haven't posted Jonah yet, but Jonah is gone. I mean, there's nothing there that's truthful, and I went over it and explained it. But if you see as I'm going through these, how much correction has to be done. So they have corrupted his words. YHVH is righteous within her. He will do no injustice. I don't think he's condemning them. He's coming down to wipe them out. He's sending them away to captivity. He's sending away Israel. He's sending them away. And yes, they're in captivity next. So YHVH is righteous. So get rid of this to make this truth. He does no injustice to his. And he's not righteous, he's good. Jesus told you, don't call him good, only our Creator is good. He is good. He does no injustice to his. And his justice is like light. Okay. He does not fail. He does not fail, but the unjust knows no shame. He will not fail. That does. He will not fail. Whoops, the hour's up, so I better call that, and I'm just going to slide through here just to see how much more. Okay, I'm going to clean up that text up above and start off like what I did, or I'm not going to start off like I did. I'm just going to come down to the next one, because this is replacing the first hour that I really screwed up. Oh, that happens. Okay, on to the next one, but we're learning here how to correct their crap. They corrupted his words. See, even